Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about surviving the panic of no contact.
And boy, does it feel like panic.
It really is one of the worst feelings in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like you've got this adrenaline rush, like you've almost been hit by a car, but at the same time, massive amounts of fear, and you can't think straight, and it is not easy when you feel those feelings and you're alone and all you want to do is talk to the one person that doesn't want to talk to you.
It's horrible. It's horrible. And humans are so wired for attachment. So we talk about why this panic sets in. It's because biologically we feel safer when we're in groups. We feel like we have people that support us. If we were to run into danger, Margaret had that example of the saber-toothed tiger, or what was the other thing? The mammoth? The woolly mammoth?
Yeah, or sometimes the pterodactyl.
The pterodactyl.
She used to witness those things, so
she would say
she knew all about it.
That we would be a lot more protective in groups. And so our social interactions are really embedded in us to give us that sense of safety, and especially those key attachment figures like a partner, like a caregiver. And so this is why that panic sets in. It really is that what we call primal panic, where your body is telling you, your body and your mind are telling you, you are going to die. You are separated from this person that brings you that sense of safety and connection. Panic mode, set off all the alarms. We are not okay. And so that's happening internally.
Yeah, and that's why it's so hard to not reach out. That's why it's so hard not to stalk their social media or drive past their homes. We know that many of you are driving past their home, past their work, going to different places where they used to go, hoping you'll bump into them, the gym, the church. We know it. I mean, we talk to you guys every day. It's not easy to do. You have to be very, very careful, though, because you can freak someone out and scare them.
Right. And we get this sense of like a void, you know, this void that we're feeling. And we're so used to a routine with our ex that we have like this predictability. We have an idea of how the next day will go, at what point we'll chat with our partner, when we'll see them. And so when that routine is broken, we feel very empty and lost, and we don't know what to do. So your brain is trying to figure out, well, what do we do with all of this space? We're not doing the things that we usually do. What's happening? Are we in danger? Is something wrong?
Yeah, it would bring up anxiety for me on those certain points of the day. Oh, I like with the Applebee's girl, I would know, at this certain time of the day, I would call her, or we would check in, or just see how things were going, or talk for a little bit if we had a little time. And so, like, when I would get to those points in the day, it was like dread, because it's like, this was part of the day where we would talk, and it would just hurt not to be able to, or to wonder about them. And I would be driving at that point, so then you're really thinking about it when you're driving. So it's not easy in those times where you're expecting to talk to that person, and you're kind of like, well, don't they miss me at the same time? Are they thinking about me at the same time too?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And we get a lot of physical symptoms too. You know?
Do we need to talk about those?
We always talk about those. We stay talking about those things. And the reason we talk about those symptoms a lot, the nausea, the diarrhea, which Craig loves to talk about. It's his favorite subject.
Oh my gosh.
His diarrhea.
I've openly admitted it, okay? What other breakup coaches are talking openly about how bad their diarrhea was?
I don't know if there's any other ones.
Maybe they actually have pride in themselves and dignity. Not me. I've been honest about it. It's horrible. The pain, I felt such a gaping hole in my chest that it just felt like I had a cannonball shot through my chest.
Was it just gas in there?
There was it felt like there was nothing there. And my stomach and my whole body would make all kinds of loud noises like a haunted mansion.
Oh my God.
I'm not even exaggerating. Like, you should have heard my stomach would just go like all day and night. I couldn't sleep.
These symptoms are real.
Couldn't eat.
Palpitations, like it affects you physically. And it's really jarring because, you know, your body knows, or your mind knows that you're safe. Like you're at home, you're on the couch watching Netflix. You're not in any physical danger, but your body is reacting as if you are. And that can be really, really difficult to deal with. And the reason why we talk about these symptoms a lot and why Craig loves to talk about his diarrhea is because we don't want you to feel alone in that. When we're going through it, we feel like we're the only person in the entire universe that's experiencing this pain and that nobody could truly understand. And on some level, that is true because every relationship is unique. I sound like your intro. But it's true because every relationship is unique. But heartbreak is something that people have experienced since probably the beginning of humans, since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And so it's something that, you know, if we think about it from a bit of an outside perspective, can be comforting. Of what I'm going through is probably something that your ancestors might have gone through as well, something that others might have gone through, something that we have gone through. Craig, especially with the diarrhea, though.
Listen,
we want to drive that point home.
You're really hammering that home, aren't you? They get it. I've talked about it for like 2,000 videos. Yeah, I mean, it was brutal for me. And that, you know, that's a huge reason as to why I wanted to understand this stuff. And when I was slowly able to put this stuff together with Margaret and realize the biological component of it and that it felt like death and why, and how it had a lot to do with me, you know, having separation anxiety from my mom when I was very, very small, going to my dad's house, and that I would have a lot of symptoms when I was a kid. I used to have major earaches. We had this really nice camp that we went to. It was beautiful. They had go-karts, they had pools, it was a lake. It was a beautiful camp. But for me, it was dread. It was horrible. I would get earaches. I would be crying every day. I wouldn't want to swim. So what I realized is that a lot of the symptoms that I had when I was little was what was coming up for me. The separation anxiety that I experienced as a kid were a lot of the same symptoms as they were when I was an adult. Mm-hmm. So now when I understand, oh, it's the trauma, and that I have trauma response from what happened to me when I was, you know, small, probably, 3 years old, starting at 3, I guess I was probably going to my dad's house and being around my stepmom. I realized that's why I'm so devastated by my breakups. I was devastated by being, you know, taken away from my mom for, you know, weekends or long vacations. And my dad, he was a good guy. It's just that my mom and dad had a really tumultuous divorce, and I got caught in the middle of it from a very small age. And so that really traumatized me. And so breakups traumatized me. When it happened, it was like trauma again.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. And it is important to kind of revisit your past and see, okay, what connections can I make here? Is this a deeper wound? Because that panic can actually be really insightful. I know in it, you're like, this is not insightful at all. I just want this feeling to end and I want the diarrhea to stop. But within that panic, it can tell you a lot. You know, if you start to think, okay, when have I felt like this before? What does this feel like in my body? What memories come up for me when I think about this? You know, these can bring up a lot of really interesting and insightful things as you're going through it. And so how do we work through this panic to kind of rebuild ourselves and really get to a point of stabilization, number one? And the first thing you can really do for yourself here is grounding. And something that I like to say when you're in that initial like first couple days, first week, maybe even first month after the breakup is really treat yourself like you're a baby. I know it sounds silly, but if you need to eat like soft foods and
crackers,
fruit pouches,
crackers and Gatorade.
Yeah, if you need to do that to get some semblance of nutrition in, then do that. You really have to focus on comfort and focus on almost creating that environment of safety for your body again. Mm-hmm. That's like first and foremost in stabilizing. And then we can start to think about rebuilding your life and start thinking about making your choices your own. Sometimes after a breakup, we can become so consumed with our ex that every choice that we make is about, oh, is this going to help me get closer to my ex or not? Is this going to help us reunite or not? What can I do to increase my chances? And you're making every minuscule decision based completely around your ex, and it can just lead you further and further away from that real stability where you're focused on what you want.
And not only that, when you get so uncentered and it's so much about the other person, you aren't yourself anymore. You're not the person that they fell in love with. You're not laughing or joking around. Mm-hmm. You're not you, because all you are is this shell of a person that's trying to make somebody love you. So it's not natural. It's not going to naturally recreate attraction. You're going to be more like in this power dynamic where you're kind of like begging somebody to give it another chance, you know? And it just doesn't work like that. So that's why you have to really stay committed to the personal growth and focusing on, you know, therapy, journaling. We have the creative healing course and the workbooks. We have so many videos for you to help you process and get to a good place where you're not living your life for them, right? You got to find that balance where, you know, you want to reattract them if they come back, but you also want to feel good about who you are and what you're doing with your life, and not so much obsessed where you're just like, it's like you're almost sitting in a movie theater and you're watching somebody else's life instead of actually living your life, you know, and thinking about the things that you like doing, the places you like going, and trying to find enjoyment in those things again. You know, I remember, you know, going through my breakup and not like enjoying the Yankees in the playoffs. And it was just like, wow, I don't even care. Or things that I really enjoyed, I didn't even care about at the time. That's normal. But it's good for you to get to a place where you do find enjoyment in those things again. But it's tough because a lot of times you're like, all I care about is them coming back. And it really gives me perspective on what I've lost now. And you feel really bad. You feel really guilty.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard because we know it is hard to kind of step out and interact with the world or your support system. But that can really be one of the first steps for the best thing for you. Immediately, you might not feel good going out. You might not feel good around people. Everything reminds you of your ex. But doing something caring for someone else can kind of break you out of that mold. You start thinking about other people's lives in a different way. It's not just about your ex. And starting there, for some people, thinking about someone else's life that's not your ex can be one step closer to thinking about your own life. So my point is kind of to expand your mind, to expand your circle by being around different types of people, trying to be as present as possible, trying to be vulnerable without trauma dumping on people. We talk about not, you know, getting so much advice from friends and family during this time because everyone's going to give you their own opinion and it can confuse you a lot. Yep. But being able to be around people and start doing things, even if you don't feel like it initially.
Yep. Anything that you could do to make yourself feel a little bit better. Margaret would say, get a pet.
Yeah, she would.
Get a pet. Get something fluffy.
Yeah.
Get a goldfish if you have to.
Anything that will be happy to see you when you come home. I don't know about the goldfish, but it might. Maybe it'll wag its tail.
Yeah, it'll wag its tail, I think. Get a frog like Prince Charming up there.
Yeah, could do something like that.
All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.